This podcast is an invitation to feel and experience the souls of famous old Hollywood homes and to have an in-depth journey to the areas where they're located through interviews with longtime residents. Either you're a fan of old Hollywood in Los Angeles, planning to have a vacation, or, an even bigger step, considering a certain area for your future home. This is your opportunity to receive valuable information and insightful advice you won't find anywhere else.
Hello, and welcome to my podcast. Are you in the mood for California? Today we'll feel and experience Valencia, featuring an interview with insightful Hamlet Ayvazian.
It's right between Valencia and Castaic. There is a small community called Hazley Hills. So we went there with my wife, and it was incredible. And we fell in love with it, and it was just being developed. It's actually everything that you said. It's tranquil, it's peaceful. It's part of Los Angeles, but not really. So I enjoy that part.
Interesting. And you do commute quite a bit to Los Angeles and other areas around. So what does the commute feel like? Does it feel like it's too far, or do you get stuck in traffic often?
That's a great question. It's been a while that I've been doing that. I think I've gotten used to it. Not only that, I actually made the commute useful. So sometimes I'm actually happy when there is traffic. I take my time, and I enjoy listening to audiobooks or podcasts. I even think. So in 1 or 2 days, I just turn off everything and I just think, depending on my mindset as well. But that can change.
Masha Korpacheva is a California-based realtor and a member of the National Association of Realtors in Los Angeles. She's an advocate for selling and buying homes with soul and practicing mindfulness in real estate. With master's degrees in spiritual psychology and linguistics, Masha brings all of her skills to work with her clients. An intuit and empath, she has touched many lives with her outstanding ability to see beyond the visible and helping to come to better understanding of issues and their resolutions. An adventurous world traveler, from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania to exploring the Galapagos Islands, Masha has a particular passion for the City of Angels. Having landed in this paradise and adopted it as her home, she's been sharing old Hollywood stories since 2007. In the mood for California, feel the soul of old Hollywood.
And now, are you ready to feel and experience Valencia? If you drive north from Los Angeles and take the curve where the city gives way to golden hills, you'll find Valencia, a place that feels both planned and organic, new yet connected to a deeper past. It's hard to imagine that not too long ago, these streets of tidy homes, parks and paseos were once part of a vast Mexican land grant known as Rancho San Francisco. In 1875, a businessman named Henry Mayo Newhall purchased the ranch. His vision wasn't yet of a modern city. It was land for farming, for cattle, for the wide California sky. But his legacy would one day shape a whole new kind of community. The Newhall family held onto the land for decades. Then, in the 1960s, his descendants, the Newhall Land and Farming Company, began to imagine something revolutionary, a planned community where people could live, work, and play in harmony with nature. They called it Valencia, after the Valencia orange, which was a major cash crop grown in the area at that time. In 1967, the first neighborhood opened, Old Orchard, with its park, its own shopping center, and a school, all surrounded by winding green belts. The paseos, those beautiful landscaped pathways, connected every part of the town without crossing a single street. It was modern living with a sense of flow, a community built on connection. But even in this newness, Echoes of the valley's past remained. Just a few miles away, in what is now Old Town Newhall, the old California still stands quietly among the oaks and rolling hills. At Heritage Junction Historic Park, you can still walk through time. The Newhall Ranch House, originally built in 1861, once served as the headquarters of Rancho San Francisco. It's a handsome old structure of wood and history, the home of the people who first shaped this valley. Nearby stands the Mitchell Adobe Schoolhouse, built in the 1860s, where the valley's first children once gathered to learn. It's humble and sun-warmed, yet it carries the memory of beginnings, of education taking root in the wild frontier. Then there is the Kingsbury House, a Victorian gem from the 1890s, brought here piece by piece to preserve it from demolition. Step inside, and you're back in the days when Newhall was still a quiet railroad town, long before Valencia's master plan. And just down the road, the old courthouse and Masonic Lodge, built in 1932, still watches over Main Street. Its dignified facade reminds us of a time when justice, community, and fraternity all fit under one roof, literally. Each of these buildings, lovingly preserved, tells a story of ranchers, teachers, pioneers, and dreamers. Together, they form the soul of this valley, grounding the sleek new homes and manicured parks of Valencia in something older, something human. Then came 1971, and with it, a burst of excitement. Six Flags Magic Mountain opened its gates just north of town, its roller coasters winding over the hills like steel ribbons of joy. Valencia was no longer just a planned community, it had become a destination. A few years later, the Henry Mayo Newhall Hospital opened, named after the man whose dream began it all. His name, carved into the valley's geography and spirit, became a symbol of continuity, from cattle ranch to modern city, from vision to reality. Today, Valencia is part of the larger city of Santa Clarita, but it still carries its own sense of harmony. You can stroll along the paseos, hear laughter drifting from Magic Mountain, and know that beneath your feet lies land that has seen a century and a half of transformation. And if you take a quiet detour into Old Town Newhall, walk among the heritage buildings, and let the sun fall warm on your face, you can still feel the pulse of old California. The adobe walls and wooden porches whisper reminders that every modern dream is built upon a history worth remembering. And here we are. Welcome to Valencia. It is such a treat to have Hamlet Ayvazian with me today. Hamlet Ayvazian is a certified clinical hypnotherapist, NLP practitioner, guided imagery facilitator, life coach, and teacher specializing in fears, phobias, anxiety, pain management, ADD, ADHD, PTSD, tinnitus, habits, and addictions. A certified handwriting analyst and honors graduate of the nationally accredited Hypnosis Motivation Institute, Hamlet combines Western psychology with Eastern wisdom to help people transform their lives. His lifelong fascination with human behavior drives his work, guiding others toward clarity, healing, and personal empowerment. Today, Hamlet will take us on a journey through his life in Valencia and the experiences that shape his life and work. Hello, Hamlet.
Hi, Maria.
Oh my God, so wonderful to have you as my guest today. So thank you so much for willing to participate in my podcast.
Thank you, Maria. This is great. I really appreciate you inviting me, even considering inviting me. It's a great pleasure.
Oh, of course, of course. Well, Hamlet, let's start with the place where you live. And in your case, it's Valencia.
Yeah.
It's a place that is known for its tranquility and open skies, and with quite a bit of history as well. What does it feel like to live there?
Wow. Okay. So you've done some research. I lived there for about 24 years. In 2001, we went there and we fell in love with it. It's right between Valencia and Castaic. There is a small community called Hazley Hills. So we went there with my wife, and it was incredible. And we fell in love with it, and it was just being developed. It's actually everything that you said. It's tranquil, it's peaceful. It's part of Los Angeles, but not really. So I enjoy that part.
Interesting. And you do commute quite a bit to Los Angeles and other areas around. So what does the commute feel like? Does it feel like it's too far, or do you get stuck in traffic often?
That's a great question. It's been a while that I've been doing that. I think I've gotten used to it. Not only that, I actually made the commute useful. So sometimes I'm actually happy when there is traffic. I take my time, and I enjoy listening to audiobooks or podcasts. I even think. So in 1 or 2 days, I just turn off everything and I just think, depending on my mindset as well. But that can change. Truly enjoy it. I learned to enjoy it.
Yes, it's all about the mindset, isn't it?
Absolutely. I agree.
So when you come back to Valencia, does it feel different from the rest of the city?
Absolutely. Right away. It's as if I'm in a different universe. I really, truly feel the difference. As soon as I get home, I feel very peaceful right away, like going from city to country. It's that kind of a feeling. Yeah, I do.
Wonderful. So you must really need it for yourself to be able to relax and just be in that moment, like with yourself and with nature.
Absolutely. Even if it's for 5 minutes, that makes a difference.
Yes, yes. Do you have maybe a favorite spot that helps you recharge specifically or find inspiration? Maybe you also could share some favorite restaurants or cafes in Valencia.
I'm not a cafe or restaurant person. I, usually go and I enjoy, but I like to try everything. I think the one spot in Valencia that we as a family enjoy a lot is, it may sound a little cheesy, but it's Barnes and Noble. Yeah, it's on Valencia and Magic Mountain Parkway. Has been there for a while. It was going through some transformation. I think they faced even bankruptcy at one point. But whoever the CEO is, I read something about the person just transformed everything. And I think this new evolution of books and youngsters really, really liking paper books comes from that, because they just, I don't know, they did something. They put all of the books face up. You can see just about everything, not the spine only, but the whole book. So it's very inviting. And then there's a good cafe over there, which is Starbucks, and are always ready to go. Whenever I say Barnes and Noble, they say yes. So I enjoy that very much.
Oh, well, I know how much you love reading, and I'm sure you have shared this love with your children as well. It's really, really beautiful that you do that.
Sure. Thank you. I tried. They're reading a lot because now they're in school, they're in universities, and they have to read a lot of other kind of literature. And so
Yes.
any fiction. I have plenty of fiction at home, but no, yeah, they do love reading. My daughter, especially. I don't know about my son. Hopefully soon, but yeah, he does pick up a book here and there. I did, and from childhood, we used to go to bookstores and just hang out there. And these are places where I let them just loose, and I let them kind of go anywhere they wanted. And I think that freedom was also associated with books, which is why they enjoy it so much.
Wow. Hamlet, you've dedicated your entire life to understanding the human mind and helping people transcend their fears and limitations. So now that we're speaking about your children and Barnes and Noble and just love for books, transcending the fears and limitations of your children, have you approached it in any special way?
Do you mean like how do I approach my children's fears?
Yes, yes, because, oftentimes, at all times, I think children look up to their parents, to guide them. And as humans, we have so many fears that we come into as we grow up. So, have you approached in helping your children transcend their fears or limitations?
That's a very useful but hard to answer in short few sentences question. So, but I'll do my best. There is a saying that shoemakers' children go barefoot. You can't use your abilities at home. I'm a dad, but when they come to me, that's when I can give them my insight. But overall, I believe in allowing them to learn from their own experiences. And I do believe that life is all about experiences, and the way they experience is very important. But that's where I come in. I just make sure that even if it's a negative experience, it doesn't turn into a traumatic experience. Because the only way any experience can be traumatic is if we find ourselves unable to resolve an issue and find ourselves being desperate. But if we manage to get through it, then it actually becomes a life lesson. So I just kind of come in to just go over the thing and make sure that what they take from it or what they learn from it is eventually a positive a tool for them rather than something they're going to fear for the rest of their lives.
Yes, yes, this is very true. And I also noticed that oftentimes when people go through a bad experience, no matter how they handle it, they sometimes turn onto themselves and they judge themselves for the way they handled it. So it becomes not even about the experience itself anymore, but more about the way they relate to themselves while going through that experience.
Do you mean that when they look back?
Yes, when they look back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That happens a lot. And that's a problem because that's a sign of a fixed mindset. To quote Carol Dweck, it is basically making them unable in the future to make decisions, to deal with anything. Because if I am going to blame myself constantly, if that's my tool set, I'm going to look back at my experiences and blame myself for how I handled it. In the future, it's going to prevent me from making decisions or handle things in any way. So I may actually make myself paralyzed in situations like that. So it's not a very handful way of dealing with that. So it's very important to learn that whatever has happened has happened. And based on the circumstances, overwhelmingly, mostly you would do the same thing. And to be able to forgive yourself if it's necessary, or just praise yourself that you've handled it, even if you didn't handle it well. But learn from it and say it was an experience. And that way you will gain a confidence that in the future, you will not blame yourself again.
Yes.
That kind of a reason.
Yes, that totally makes sense. Yes. So, Hamlet, your work beautifully bridges science and spirituality, Western psychology and Eastern wisdom. How do you find balance between these worlds and when guiding someone toward healing?
Balance, right? That's a magic word, isn't it?
It is.
It is eventually about the balance between spirituality and materiality. It is the balance between chaos and order. It is the balance between total freedom and limits. Very early on, I started reading some psychology and philosophy, and I read about Socrates, and I read Plato. And his main teaching was sophrosine, which is in Greek, means moderation. And I took that as my own philosophy somehow. I started thinking about that, though it's very recently that I really understood what that means, where the moderation is really important. So eventually I came to this conclusion that it's not about who you are, but how you move from one state to another, and learning to do that with grace and ease, a way of living for me right now. So
Mm.
that balance is very important. And even Eastern and Western, it's also about spirituality and materiality, isn't it? So you learn how to dance between the poles, but not be afraid of the mediums. I think one time, it has happened a few times, people say, okay, I'm just black and white, right? I just either black or white. And
Yes.
there's no in between, because I say, why not in between? Because I don't like the grays, someone said. And I said, what if in between the black and white is not the grays, but all the other colors? And you're basically preventing yourself to live all these colors as you are just going from one pole to another pole, which again, coming back to the balance, it is somewhere in between that we find our peace.
Right. And do you think there must be some sort of fear that a person feels when they're afraid to experience other colors?
It's a fear, but it comes from inability. It comes from lack of experience, and it also comes from succumbing to fear or trusting fear more, because there's just two ways that we do just about anything. It's either by fear or by love, right?
Yes.
We drink a cup of water, and if it's driven by fear, we can drink it because we don't want to be dehydrated. We're afraid of being dehydrated. Or we can drink it because we love being hydrated. Either way, we're doing the same thing, but the motivation is different. It comes from different. So learning to mostly be able to do things driven by love is the way to do, or even balancing it. I'm not saying don't do anything by fear. We've been raised that way. Our parents teach us to limit ourselves by fear. When we fall, we hurt our foot, we learn that there is only so much freedom I can have, that my body is limited. And yeah, right from the beginning, we experience that limit, which is why a child cries, because the body is actually a limit. It limits the spirit, limits the freedom. And so we learn how to live in this unfree world, but at the same time learn how to be free, which is only in mind. So I forgot where I was, but I think I did answer, right, your question.
Yes, you did. Absolutely. And so I was asking you about if people are feeling fear, to experience the colors between black and white.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about. And then, yes, you're right that our parents do teach us, that maybe in some way it's okay to be afraid, because fear is our primal instinct. If we were not afraid, then probably we would not be able to survive for that long, because, it's all about trying to survive in the world that's full of danger in some way, or at least this is the way the instinct sits in us, right?
Absolutely. And we do that all the time. I am a parent and I've done that. And we do that because there are two ways we learn things, either by punishment, right?
Yes.
Prove that we're just like any animal, or by reward. So teaching by reward is not that easy. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of focus. And just because we as children of our parents have learned through punishment mostly whatever we've learned, then we have that tool. We know how it works, and it's easier to do that rather than shift it to reward.
Yes.
So it's easier to say don't touch that, or this and this and this will happen to you. We're instilling some sort of scary picture in their head, and that prevents them from getting hurt or things like that, right?
Yes, very much so. So if a person comes to you with a problem of being too afraid to see the colors, and I'm using this as just a figurative example, but they're afraid to open up. They do see everything in black or white, and they cannot go further. How would you approach counseling them? So what would be the main thing for you to focus on?
Well, the first and foremost, again, going back to Socrates, it's about knowing yourself. It's about education. Why? Because everything we learn, it gives us an extra new dimension with which we can experience the world in more profound way. So it's all about seeing the bigger picture, if you will. So what I do is I start with just understanding how the mind works. What does subconscious mind do? What does the conscious mind do? What are the other consciousnesses like universal or preconscious or even the unified field? And we're thinking about all of these. But at the same time, I kind of talk about how our brain is programmed to see the negative 4 to 10 times more. It's not just you. Everyone is programmed that way. It's just because by being optimists, we would probably perish. We would get hurt easily. So our brain wants to prevent us from getting hurt, which is why it's constantly considering the negative a lot more than the positive. And I explained this, how our brain loves the negative. Just, very simple reason is this is why we don't like good news. We just don't like it. We don't like movies where there is nothing bad happening. There has to be conflict. There has to be pain. There has to be tragedy, even if it's a comedy, for us to be interested in it. So that means our brain is interested in the negative. But the reason it is to prevent us from getting hurt. But we don't understand that. So it is our duty to affect or influence that programming as much as we can to get us make us be able to see the future better, and which is the actual most important thing, because every human being has a view or vision of future in their head. Everyone, that's the orientation. That's what makes us move. And if that picture in our head is a happy one, we're happy. If it's an exciting one, we're excited. But if it's scary, we're scared. So it's the most important thing is to work on that image and see where it is the person is not able to look forward and what are the reasons. It could be a trauma in the past, but mainly what it is, it's loss of trust, right? Whatever happens in our lives basically says that I can't trust that I'm going to be okay. And trust is a key word when you talk about confidence, right? Confidence comes from a Latin 2 words, con and fidere. And con means with, and fidere means trust. So with trust is what confidence is. So when we are not confident, it means we don't have trust. What are we trusting? The main thing that we lose trusting is that if something happens in the future, I'll be okay. So if a person starts learning that whatever happens in the future, I will be okay, then they become more trusting of that future. And living the colors becomes a lot more easier.
Yes. And I have learned that the most important thing for us in order to learn to trust others is actually to learn to trust ourselves. Because how can we trust others if we don't have this trust inside of us that we can make the right decision, that we can support ourselves, that we can make the right choice? And I remember years ago, I had to climb Mount Kilimanjaro to regain this confidence and trust in myself. And this is exactly what it did for me. So I actually literally had to climb a mountain in order to know that, yes, I can do this for myself. I can support myself through whatever it is I need to support. And so gaining trust for oneself is I think a very big thing. What do you think?
Absolutely. That's exactly what happens, because once you do something like, I'm amazed, first of all, that you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
Anything for evolution.
And for Hemingway, right?
Yes.
Yes, that could be very, I don't know, surreal experience. I can imagine. But coming down, you told yourself, if I can do this, I can do anything, right?
Yes, exactly. Word for word.
That's what confidence is. If you tell yourself that, then you're free. Nothing to be afraid of. Whatever happens, I will be okay. And that's what we need for everyone.
Yes. Do you suggest to your clients doing something in their lives so that they regain this trust?
Absolutely. It is all about what they're doing in their lives. Considering doing the things that are hardest for them to do. But if it's too painful or too scary for them, you start with other areas, because it all starts when someone lives in fear for a while. It limits the person so much that the person may start losing something very important to do what is worth doing, to quote Aristotle. And that's what happiness is, right? Aristotle says happiness is in doing what's worth doing. But the fear can make a person not do any of that, right? And if you're not doing it for a while, there's something bad happens. You start losing ability to put effort, you lose willpower, you lose self-control and all of that, right? And focus.
Yes.
So all of these are focuses. Right now, we know that Roy Buemaster kind of proved that this is an energy. And if we use more of this, we get more of it. But if you don't use it, it doesn't stay the same. It actually diminishes, which is why if you stay at home for a year, it'll be very hard to get out of the house. It's because you have lost that self-control. So the fear can limit the person so much that they eventually, even the very simple tasks like getting out of the house and going to the supermarket may become a very big task. So yeah, starting doing the things that are hard at where you are is key. It's actually one of the first steps. Yes.
Yes, yes. Yes. And as simple as it is very profound.
Absolutely. For one person, just stepping outside the house can feel as big a task as climbing Mount Kilimanjaro for another.
100%. Everybody has their own mountain. And once they reach the top, they have to continue climbing. It really never ends because it's a practice.
Absolutely right. It's if you think that you're going to get there and then after that there is happiness, you're bound to be disappointed. It's all about climbing. It's all about getting better.
Yes, yes, very true. Hamlet, in your view, what is the ultimate purpose of life? And I know it's a very loaded question, but we're all seeking the meaning, the purpose of life. And how do you think one begins to align with that purpose, especially in times of pain or uncertainty? Do you have any techniques or do you have any professional advice?
First, let's start with purpose. I really haven't thought about that. And at any given time in my life, it could be a different thing. So I'll tell you what purpose can be in different time of my life. And usually the main purpose is to expand my vision. Just like I said, it's learning, adding dimensions with which I can experience the world more profoundly. And, learning just about anything, trivia. Nowadays, a lot of youngsters thinking that going to school is nonsense. And I give them this understanding that, or I try to give them that you're not learning because you're going to need that information. You're learning because your brain is expanding and it gives you a different kind of dimension with which you are going to be happier.
Yes.
And that's why we go to school. That's why we learn a lot of things that seem unimportant and not useful. So expanding the vision is the purpose, in my opinion, right now. And I think when we are doing it, we're going through different stages where first we learn that we understand that we want something. We need something to know. We need to know something. And then we start studying. Then we understand it. Then we learn it. And then we know it. So when we get to the knowing part, it becomes subconscious known. Then from there on, whatever we've been studying is not important for us. We take it for granted. And that's when our ego starts dropping. We become again teachable. Then we start learning and then we understand. We start studying, then we understand, we learn, and then we know. So it's constantly going through these stages. I find myself in different stages. And in different stages, your level of self-esteem is different. For instance, when you come to studying, your ego has to be at the low because I have to be humble in order to learn. I can't come with the understanding that I know everything. No, I come with the understanding that I don't know anything, just like Socrates said.
Yes.
I mentioned him 3 times, right? I know something that I don't know anything. So you come with that approach and then you start learning. That's when your brain starts taking the information. Then you get your aha moments and you understand this, you understand that. Then you start learning the whole concept and then suddenly you know it. You didn't know it yesterday, but you know it today. And that's where the ego goes to the highest. And then after that starts going down again. So
yes.
you have your mountain and then you start coming down again. And then you climb another one.
Yes, very true. And Hamlet, one last thing. if you could offer one truth to someone listening right now who feels lost or afraid, what would you want them to know about their own power to change?
One truth. Okay, it's very hard to just limit it to one, but I think one truth for me that changed everything is that my brain is a tool. It's a computer, and I can learn to manage it. And if I learn how to use it, I'll be happier at least. So not thinking that you are bound to just be using this, whatever programming has been given to you, that your brain is running, but you can change that.
Wow, this is very powerful because this is complete disidentification from your brain and when you're saying, I'm not my brain, and using it as a tool, because this is, where the main change lies.
Absolutely. And you're not your brain. You're not even your feelings. You are the consciousness and awareness that your brain is and it's thinking. And sometimes you can't even stop what it's thinking. As a matter of fact, you can't stop even when you're asleep, even though your consciousness is asleep, but your brain continues processing and thinking, which is very profound and it's extraordinary the way it does things. But at the same time, sometimes the brain programming, even though it is to protect you or to prevent you from getting hurt, sometimes in the process of doing it, it may actually end up hurting you even more. So you got to learn how to solve this paradox.
Yes. Wow. Hamlet, thank you so much for such a deep, profound, and soulful conversation today. And I hope it will be very helpful to listeners, and that maybe if someone is feeling lost while listening to this conversation, they will be able to see, their own guiding light, and they'll have the courage to follow it. And we all need it at times, like this reminder that we're all in it together. We're all humans. We're all facing our life, and we're truly never alone.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. I hope so too. Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. And until next time.
My pleasure. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Explore Valencia with my special guest, Hamlet Ayvazian. If you enjoy my podcast, In the Mood for California, please sign up for future episodes at your preferred platform, and please leave your feedback. I really appreciate your time and support. You can also follow me on Instagram at In the Mood for California and check out my website www.inthemoodforcalifornia.com. Next time we'll journey to Carmel by the Sea, a place where art, nature, and imagination come together in perfect harmony. We'll explore its storybook charm, creative spirit, and the sense of renewal and healing that draws so many dreamers to its shores. Cannot wait to see you there.
In the Mood for California. Feel the soul of Old Hollywood.